All right, for the next step in the radial balance square, we're going to take another good look at the color wheel, because for our background or our negative space, we're going to be using the opposite of what we use in the positive space, in the shapes. So if we used only warm colors for our shapes, then we're going to be using only cool colors for our background, or vice versa. If you use cool colors for your shapes, you're going to be using only warm colors for your background. We're also not going to be using markers for this step. We're going to be using colored pencils. And for those of you at home, hopefully you have a decent set of colored pencils available to use. We have really nice sets here in the classroom that have a whole range of colors. And so you'll want to take a good look and make sure whatever colors you choose do fall in whichever side of the color wheel you're supposed to. When in doubt, you can always ask me, and or just take a good look at the color wheel and see if you can figure out where it belongs. So what you're going to need to do is choose at least 2 colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So for me, I'm working with warm colors. My choices would be any of the reds or yellows, or even the yellow-green. But I want to choose colors that are next to each other on the color wheel because I'm going to blend them together, which I'll show you here in just a minute. So I'm going to go with, I think, my orange, and this is just a regular orange. This is a canary yellow. Now, when I say blend, that means I'm going to overlap the 2 colors at some point in the image. And so let me just show you what that's going to look like. Because it's radial balance, we do need to make sure that we are doing whatever we do uniformly. And so I like to start in the middle and kind of work my way out. Now, the colored pencils we have are called Prismacolor, and they're a really nice quality colored pencil that will give you a really rich opaque color if you take the time to let it really build up that waxy layer. Nice and opaque, meaning we can't see through it. That's what we're looking for here. Now I've kind of ventured out from the center that direction, so now I'm going to venture out from the center this direction. And I'm going to really do that evenly all the way around. So I kind of rotate, thinking about the spikes on a wheel, or the spokes on a wheel. We want them to venture out from that center evenly. And getting a nice heavy buildup of color. Stopping approximately the same spot all the way around. Now, as I get that part finished, I'm going to begin continuing to move out from the center, but now I'm going to do a section where I don't have such rich, heavy color. I'm going to just lighten up my pressure and let it be a little bit translucent, meaning letting the white of the paper show through, and just kind of fading off at about the same spot each time. And I kind of like to sort of blend, not have a hard line here where I stopped with the dark heavy color, and just gradually bring that out. About halfway through each of the boxes is good. It doesn't have to be exactly to the same point as mine, but you do want it to be about the same all the way around. So now, and I'm going to work a little bit quickly here just so I can move us through the steps. You'll want to make sure you take your time with this. Try to be as precise as possible. Try not to color over your markered areas. And I'll just real quickly here move through these last couple sections. Now, I told you to choose 2 colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. And if you're at home, just Google color wheel. Get one in front of you that you can look at, because you want to make sure you're choosing 2 colors next to each other on the color wheel, because we're going to blend them together, and that means we're going to overlap them. So I started with orange in the middle, this section here where I've let the color be a little bit see-through, I'm going to pick up with my other color and go right on top of it. And when these two colors are combined, we're going to get something that is called, it's an intermediate color called yellow-orange. So yellow is a primary, orange is a secondary, and yellow-orange is the color that happens right in between them when the two are mixed together. So you're going to want to choose for whatever you do in your background, a primary and a secondary that are next to each other, and create the intermediate that falls between them. So you can hopefully see now that I've applied the yellow, I am going pretty heavy with the yellow to get a nice rich color. And once I'm finished with this piece, then I will continue on to the edges with just yellow, so that when I'm finished, I have the primary, the secondary, and the intermediate all clearly visible. So my yellow is my primary, which will be out here. My secondary is the orange, the intermediate is in between. Now, I haven't paid much attention yet, but there are some places I'll need to go back and pick up. Like I left this spot here, that can be background, so if any of the areas you left open spaces, those will all be handled along the way as you go, and that color will go all the way out to the edges. You can even switch back to your original color at some point if you want to. I could do orange around the edges and transition back, as long as somewhere in the image, somewhere in the background, I see the pure yellow, somewhere in the background I see the pure orange, and somewhere I see their intermediate in between. All right, there it is.